Okay, and welcome to the second part of the video. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is editing this image. We're going to be sharpening up areas of the hair, and we're actually going to put some controlled flyaways in the hair that we've removed now from creating this mask. And the way we do that is we don't use the masking technique. Obviously I've gone through that. We use the pen to make the selection. We're not using the mask tool at all, the selector mask rather. We're actually going to draw the hair, and this is the way the professionals work, and this is why a graphics tablet really helps to do this and get it correct. You can use a mouse, but you need a full-sized image straight from the camera, and you don't get the same accuracy that you would with a pen tool, and it doesn't look quite as good. So we're using a graphics tablet. That's really important. I'm actually using a program, and I forget what it's called. Let me just have a look on here. It's called AstroPad Studio, and I'm using that on a Mac, and I'm using instead of my graphics Wacom that I do use, I'm trying this out. So this is actually a program that's on my iPad, and the nice thing about that is I can use the iPad and draw directly on the iPad. So I've got this picture also on the screen of my iPad, and it's just nicer to work that way. So using the new iPad and the Apple Pencil that you need to be able to do that, obviously. Okay, so, but it doesn't really matter what you've got. A Wacom is brilliant, a great tool. I still use my Wacom a lot, and I'm basically just getting to use this. Okay, so from there, let's make a start. So first thing we do is go to the layers, and make sure that you're on your background copy layer, so below your help layer. And I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to double click in there and give it a name. So we're going to call this hair, because inside this we're going to be putting a number of layers that eventually we will merge together to create the edit to the picture. Okay, so what we do next is making sure that this is open. So make sure that the arrow is pointing down and you can see the folder open there. We click on new layer, and I'm going to call this, hair left. And by that I mean when we're looking at the image, we're looking at the left hand side of the image down here, and I'm going to use this layer to draw some, maybe not all, but some of the hair onto this selection. So making sure we're on there, the next thing we need to do is to click on our foreground color tool, and we use the eyedropper. So we move off that and we go to the eyedropper, and I'm going to say, well, I want something around this color. So I'm matching up the color of the hair where I'm drawing. Something around like that, and I'll click on OK. Now we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep actually drawing, and I'm going to zoom in slightly. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is to select my brush. So I've got my brush tool, and I'm going to start off. We need to really practice and see what size of brush we want, but I'm using a soft brush with the hardness down, and the size is 1 pixel at the moment, and I'm just going to have a look what that looks like. So I'm just going to draw. You can see that's really fine. You can only just see that. And also what I'm going to do when I'm using the tablet is I'm going to use these buttons so that adjusts the pressure for opacity. I'm going to leave that off for the moment, But what I want to do is to use pressure for size. So the harder I press with the brush, the larger the hair will be. So if I push a bit harder, you can see that you get that effect. So I'm just going to undo that. That was just to show you the effect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing around this area, and this takes quite some time, and you don't have to be a great artist. You're just basically drawing along the edge, and we can do this a number of times. I'm quite thick there, so I'm going to hide this area. So I'm following the direction of the air, just applying a few loose hairs here and there. And this basically is the technique for all of the image. Coming over these areas here now, we're not just going to apply the one colour, we're actually going to put some other colours in there as well. And also we're going to put some effects on this that just make it look more natural. Okay, so I'm going to get another colour now. I'm going to use a slightly darker colour, so I'm going to go to my colour picker. I'm going to click on one of the darker areas. Okay, we'll use that, and we just do the same again. So you're getting the idea now. Now don't be too worried about it looking a little bit unnatural, because we will be using tricks to put that right. Okay, I think I need to go a bit lighter with that now, so once again click on the colour, select the lighter area, and just follow the hair, and this will also bring back the sharpness and the detail to the hair when it's a little bit soft. And if it's still a little bit hard, we can soften that at a later stage quite easily. Okay, now I'm not going to do all of the image, so I'm just going to do part of the image and then show you how to carry on and the effects to use. So let's just start with this area. And you can use more than one layer, and you can keep swapping the colour of the pen. So let's just get a little bit darker area down here, and always try and click on an area close. Here we go, so close to the original hair. And we can follow that through. Just going to zoom in a little bit more on there. Okay, so let's just stop there now, and I'm going to show you how we can make this look more realistic. First thing I'm going to go is to the layer, right click, and I'm going to duplicate the layer just to make it a bit thicker. And then I'm going to use either the Alt key on a PC. I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to use Command. And holding that key down, I'm going to click on this layer. And what that does is it makes a selection. And it makes a selection of what is on that layer. So you can see it's selected, you can see the marching ants now if you look carefully. It's selected those areas of air. And what I'm going to do with that is to inverse that selection. So I'm going to select inverse. And now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to copy this first of all. So I'm going to right click and duplicate the layer once more and hide the one underneath. And what I'm going to do with this is to press now the backspace key on the keyboard, and what that will do is just put a bit of irregular feel to the hair. So when I select that, deselect, can you see now it looks a little bit more ragged, a little bit more natural looking. You just take that away. You can see it's just okay, so we've got the layer underneath. We can hide that one. So we've got two copies out there, so you can see you've got the two copies, and this is the one, the top one, that is applied. Let's just take this one off as well. We'll just put this one on, and now you can see how much more natural that is. Click that one as well, that one will fill it out a little bit. And what we can do with either one of those, we'll use this one. So I'm clicking on there, I've clicked on the eye, so we've got the eye on the two. And on this bottom one, the hair left copy, I'm going to take down the opacity to something like that. Okay, so let's just look at that there. Now you can see how much more natural that looks. So what we've applied, take the hair off, is that. And you can see now we've got a beautiful selection. And that is basically the way we work. So my next stage, let's merge these layers together now. We've got the original one there. We'll keep that with the eye off. Let's merge these two. So I'll click on the top one, hold down the shift key, click on the one below, right click, and we need to merge the layers together. Merge layers. There we go. So that's all now on one layer. And that is how we build up the air. Now we could, it's the original one, I'll get rid of that. So we'll just get rid of that. And let's just click in there and we'll delete part of this. So we've just got hair left. Now obviously it's not all the hair on the left. You would go, let me just show you how you would carry on with that. So I'm going to create another layer. And we'll call this hair left 2. You could do all this in one go, but I'm breaking it up just so you can see the effect there. I'm going to zoom in. Now I'm going to work on this area. So once again, we click on the colour. We want a darker colour probably, so I'm going to click around this. Something quite dark like that. We click on OK. So that's what we're going to start off with. We go back to our brush tool. So we're still on the same setting. And we draw. Follow the direction of the air, and I'm just making sure I just overlap just a little bit. We'll put a few flyaways in. We don't get too mad because we don't want the flyaways really, we just want to make it look natural. There we go. And once you start this, you get a lot faster and more natural. Remember to keep changing the brush with your colour. Just giving you a rough idea. Obviously it'd take more time. When I'm coming down here, remember we had quite a lot of flyaway hair on the top, and where the crown is you probably get something like this. I'm verging onto the right of the image now, so I don't want to come too far over there. But I'm going to do the top hair on the left layer. And I can sort of scribble as well to fill in any areas that I need to. Okay, now the colour's changing slightly there, so what we'll do is we'll go back to our colour. We'll select this darker area and we'll just add some of this to those darker areas. We've got something like that, and we'll just put a few lighter areas in as well, so we'll just go back to our picker. We'll get some of this lighter hair colour. And we'll just put a few streaks into that. So it's just changing colours. And then when you've done that, once again, we will duplicate that layer. So we right click, duplicate the layer, click on OK, and then merge that one down. Right click, merge down, so you've thickened it up basically and it's all on that one layer. And then to make that look more natural, we do that trick again. We hold down Command or Alt on the PC, click once, go to Select, Inverse, and we use the backspace key. Just press that. Select deselect, and you can see now we're getting that perfect selection. And if we double click out to normal size, I'm actually on a 4K display, so it's quite small. Let's just double click that. There we go. And you can see now how natural and realistic that looks. And basically you would carry that all around all the way, keep creating new layers, and you can draw around these areas. We can sharpen up this area by drawing over that. So if I just create a new layer, I'll show you that. So we can, so I'm not doing all of it, it's just going to do parts, and then you can sort of experiment yourself depending on your image. I will be putting these images for download for my students. So I'm just going to I'll call this here sharpen, and let's just zoom into this area. Well, you can see it's really soft. Looks like something's gone wrong with the photo there. So again, we go to our colour picker. Let's start off with this colour here. Click on OK, and then making sure we go back to our brush. Let's follow the hair. You can see straight away we get some sharpness back. I might actually delete these areas down there later, so I'm not going to go too much down that area. You see how I'm bringing back the sharpness to the image in these areas. Just do a little bit down here, because to the left of this I will be actually getting rid of this area. You don't usually have to draw inside the selection much, but just in these areas it's really very soft and looks terrible really. So okay, let's just change the brush, get a darker colour. And you would go over the area there. I'm not going to do any more on that, but once again, once you've done that, we use the trick of Command or Alt, click on the layer, go to Select, Inverse, backspace once, select, deselect, and you can see now it looks a lot more natural, realistic. And that is basically how we touch up all the areas. So if we just double click that, you can see with the areas that we've done, it looks really, really nice, really natural. And that is basically how we would neaten up all that hair. Not these areas on the neck there, because remember when we created our help file, we look at our layers, we was going to extract this area. There's also an area put there that I got rid of. I didn't like that, so we took that out. So we've kept these areas mainly within there, and these are the areas we need to sharpen up. I will probably keep that in as well. I would draw over that part there, but remove these strands at a later stage, which we'll show you how to do later. But basically, within this area, that is where we sharpen the hair that we're going to keep. And anything outside there, like these strands, we'll get rid of. So you can see this is how you get your selection. Okay, so I'm going to stop at that stage. I'm going to open up my completed image, and there's lots of things on there that you won't have done, but not yet at this stage. So this is the completed image when I put it on to another background. You can see all the, that is actually not the completed image, it's almost complete. This is before I actually touched up these areas with the skin and that, so we've still got some blemishes on there. But that shows you how you would edit the hair and get the hair looking realistic. And I'll probably have lots and lots of different layers on here and groups and whatever. You can see all the layers that I've got for the hair. So I've created different layers like I've shown you, drawn in using the pen tool, and that is what you basically need to do, and use that trick of the command, the Alt or command and the click to select, and then inverse the selection and the delete, and that just gives you the nice realistic look to the hair. Just makes it that bit more jagged and less formal, and just mixes nicely with the other hair. Now there are cases where you may have someone like with afro hair or something, which is a lot more difficult, and there will be a tutorial at a later stage on that, where we deal with afro hair or curly hair rather, and show you different techniques to use for that type of hair. But so it still applies to the drawing and drawing in. Okay, so that's the end of this section, and the next section we'll be talking about how to tidy up the skin. Let's just look at a very complete image if I can find it. This one. So if we look at this one, you can see I've cleaned up everything on there. We've got the hair all looking nice, bring that sharpness back into the detail of the hair, and ends up looking a great image. So touching up the skin, getting rid of this area. So originally it was that was the stage that we'd got to, and then we complete it by getting rid of that area. So you can see how realistic that looks now when we extracted it from the background, and with these flyaway hairs applied, it just looks so real, so natural. Okay, so look forward to the next video where we touch up the skin area and get these skin tones and everything correct, and edit the hair that we need to remove.